Coming up on Tekzilla, LeVar Burton shares his thoughts on Twitter and online social networking. Garnet Lee gives us the lowdown on GDC 2009, and we got ourselves a new home with paint and a view of a city and stuff. So strap yourself in and open up a can of peaches, Johnny. Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by Squarespace, GoDaddy.com, and Netflix.com. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech, including Veronica's, and how to make the most out of gear you already own.
Yes, whether you're a beginner, tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about digital cameras, faster internets, securing your cell phone, or the secret ingredients to the Veronica cocktail, we've got an answer for you.
And if we don't, we'll track down somebody who does.
We've got a new set. It's also open.
And sunny.
And we're like in the center. Usually we're way off to the left, and
right.
Now I feel very important sitting right here now.
It's still a work in progress. You'll probably see a few more tweaks here and there as we move forward. Especially the biggest issue is that we can't actually enjoy the set while we're working.
No, we could. Oh, look, they added the little ugly dolls.
Coming up on Tekzilla.
To the buildings and everything. That's so cute. You guys, you outdid yourselves.
We got those from the anime and tactical gear store.
Oh, yes. That is right near our studios, isn't it?
Tad Gear
That's
rocks.
that's where I got my bear hoodie. But anyway, we're digressing. Our first question of the day comes from Philip, who has a question about USB chargers.
Hey guys, I was wondering, I have a cell phone with a standard USB mini cable connection on it. And if I try to use an AC adapter with a regular USB sync cable, it doesn't actually charge the cell phone. I'm wondering if for strictly charging purposes, whether those actually run at a different voltage than a standard USB device. Thanks for the answer in advance.
Well, no, unless there's some weird voltage converter built into your cell phone's cable. It uses the same 5 volt and 500 milliamps any other USB device uses, except for the iPhone, of course, but we'll rag on Apple in a second. You might be having problems with a bad USB power adapter. The best way to test this out is to try other adapters, naturally.
Yeah, I mean, unless your iPhone is set up like the iPhone, which requires power to both the 5-volt power pins, the 2 outside pins on a USB plug, and the data pins, the 2 inside pins that run 3.6 volt, super annoying because generic USB power adapters don't power those pins, even if they have them. In fact, all of the perfectly good iPhone chargers from the first generation and iPod chargers that use a dock connector also won't charge the iPhone 3G. And we got some good news though. If you're a hater of the 843 different ports for powering up your cell phone, you're going to be actually pretty pleased to learn. Like how many power adapters have you ever? Like every cell phone, like except for some Nokias I had that use the same power adapter.
100 million billion.
Basically, at the GSMA Mobile World Congress on the morning of February 17th, 2009, not that I'm excited, but a dogpile of cell phone vendors agreed on the little tiny micro USB plug as a new standard for power connectors for cell phones, pretty much before the European Union brought down the hammer on them for not having a standard plug, because the EU was pretty annoyed at the 42,000 different non-exchangeable standards. So RIM wasn't on that list, but like a number of HTC devices, they already use the micro USB adapter. LG, Nokia, Samsung, Sony Ericsson, AT&T, T-Mobile, Motorola, a lot of companies are in on this.
Not Apple, though.
Well, that's because they like their bitter stranglehold on their end users.
That's the second time I've done a strangle motion in this question so far. Gets me a little riled up. I'm sorry about that. And we love those video questions, and they're oh so easy to make. Just record your question in front of a camera, no longer than 15 seconds preferably. Upload that puppy to YouTube and send us an email with video question in the subject line so we can find it. And I can't wait to see your shiny, happy faces once again.
Still to come, Veronica interviews cinema star and Star Trek favorite LeVar Burton about the power of online social networking. And we got a full breakdown of GDC 2009 with one of us very own Garnet Lee. But first.
Hey, we want to take this time now to thank one of today's sponsors, Squarespace, and here to tell you more about them is one of the masterminds behind Revision 3, David Prager.
Hey there, it's David Prager, co-founder of Revision 3. I wanted to come on here to Tekzilla to thank one of the sponsors that makes the show possible, and that sponsor is Squarespace. If you haven't heard of Squarespace, they're a web publishing platform as well as a hosting platform. What they allow you to do is basically create a website and put it online, and they provide tools that make you able to tool it around to look like pretty much anything you want, as well as all kinds of functionalities that you'd expect from any website. If you've been on the web, you can see all the different things that you can do online, from viewing videos, submitting videos, having a platform to say things, show images, suck in feeds from different sites you might have online. What this allows you to do is use their features to drag and drop and pull in things, change color palettes and all kinds of design features to really customize it and make it look the way you want. It's really cool because it does all of the back-end coding for you and lets you control just the front end and be really in control of what you're doing without really being able to have the technical chops or needing the technical chops to do the back-end stuff. And even better, Squarespace has put together a special deal to get 10% off your entire order for the lifetime that you use Squarespace. If you go to the site, squarespace.com, use the promo code TEKZ, that's TEKZ, you'll get 10% off for the lifetime that you use Squarespace to create your own site, blog, professional business site, anything like that. Check it out, squarespace.com.
Welcome to this week's freebie download pick. A free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. This week, Mail Store Home. If you live and work by email, you know how crucial it can be to have archived backups of your email accounts. But it can be a messy affair to manage, especially if you use a mixture of POP, Microsoft Exchange, and IMAP email services. Enter Mail Store Home. This little application backs up email from multiple email apps and accounts into one single secure and searchable location. Whether you use Outlook Express, Outlook, Thunderbird, Yahoo, Gmail, you are covered. And with MailStore's search function, you won't have to worry about remembering which email from who contained the information you need. Plus, MailStore supports full backup to CD or DVD, ensuring you always have a copy of your email when and where you need it, like in a safe deposit box far away from your home. So if you're looking for a way to archive email, give MailStore Home a try. Game Developers Conference 2009 was in town last week. The Totally Rad Show's Jeff Cannata was here to give us a preview of what to expect. Today, we asked our friend and one-up executive producer Garnet Lee to stop by and give us the lowdown of everything that happened, every single thing that happened that was exciting and cool at the conference. So for the next 2 hours, GDC. Just kidding. One of the biggest things to come out of GDC 2009, OnLive. What is it? Will it work? Did you get a chance to play with it?
I absolutely got a chance to play it. So the whole idea is cloud computing, right? A big buzzword. That's what everyone wants to talk about. The idea here is that instead of having like the old Phantom console where you had a lightweight box with a deliverable that came to you through the internet, everything now plays through the internet. So all you have in your house is a controller interface.
Right.
Because back in wherever the server farm is, that's
in the
where
magical cloud.
The magical cloud. That's where your game's being played on the latest and greatest hardware. So one of the games they demoed it with, of course, was Crysis, and they showed Crysis because that's one of those PC games that eats PCs. People go, oh, if you can run Crysis, you're doing great.
Right.
So they demoed it with that. They also showed Unreal. Those games both played very well. When I played it at the demo station, I played some Burnout Paradise, and I had a lot of trouble with it.
So it's the interesting idea that basically a cheap piece of hardware, a controller, a fast internet connection, and you'll be able to play anything that they have living on their servers.
Right, so anything they have living on their servers, you'll be able to connect up to them and play the games. The whole idea of the light box is really cool because the box they showed was literally the size of a Switch.
Right.
Like a 5-port Switch was about as big as it was. It had a couple ports on the front.
No giant fans, no expensive
fans,
hard drive
nothing.
upgrades.
I mean, you got to figure inside there what they have, like a flashable chip of some sort, because they'll be able to do updates down the road. I mean, you can do, it only goes to 720p right now, and that might be, it looks good, but
I mean, it's like they were saying like it's the last gaming device you'll ever need to buy. Okay, well maybe the second to last because we'd like to have 1080p performance.
Absolutely want to have 1080p performance. So, and the way it works is it's all predicated on this new video compression technology because that's the key part, right? Is the game's being played someplace else, and first of all, there's the latency of getting the controller input from your fingers or wherever on the controller back to Grand Central Station.
Right.
But then they've got to get the video of the game playing back to you efficiently.
Is server power, and especially server power, powerful enough to crunch like the graphics for Crysis?
Patrick, they have secret sauce. They have special hardware, and so it's all. There are a lot of secrets.
I'm sorry, I'm not smelling the secret sauce. I'm smelling your skepticism about
So
the
my
secret
skepticism
sauce.
is this. I think that the idea is great. I feel like this was a PR blitz to get what's on the cusp of being able to be done out in front of the people who could, fund it and take it to the next level and pay for it. Because I think that's what they need. They need a
They
Microsoft
want to be bought by
or
Google. Somebody with a bazillion servers.
Absolutely.
Somebody who has peering access because all that bandwidth is going to. Did they mention what kind of a continuous connection you're going to need?
Yes, they absolutely did. So for 480p, you're going to need 1.5 down, which pretty much everybody has 1.5 down, I guess.
At least until it gets throttled, depending on what
Well,
you're
that's a whole
downloading.
other subject. And then for 720p, you need 5 down.
5 megabits
5 down.
A sustained 5 megabit
You need a
transfer.
sustained 5 down. So I guess my other concern about this is if they need that, that means they're saturating it.
Right.
If they're saturating it and you're playing games, you're probably playing games for a couple, 3 hours a night. how quickly are
you
the
gonna hit your cap?
ISPs going to come after you? So this goes back to that even bigger question that needs to be solved for all digital distribution, which is how do we get effective digital ISP, distributors working with ISPs to manage bandwidth and have it all paid for,
You could do damage on a bandwidth cap with 5
Oh,
megabytes per second.
dude, you could knock it down like crazy on this, right? And so the other thing that was funny was when I was playing Burnout Paradise and it was struggling, they talked about how, oh, well, maybe it's because the PC version doesn't play that great. Well, the whole idea of this was that it would play those games on this monster computer that would solve everything. So I think that's a great idea. It's a little ahead of its time.
It's not shipping yet. They've got
No,
time.
they're going beta. They're in private beta right now. Public beta this summer, but then they say launch by fall.
That's moving fast.
That's moving fast.
We wait with bated breath to get our grubby little paws on it.
Absolutely.
What are some of the big game release announcements, stories, previews?
The big thing, of course, was there's a new Legend of Zelda coming. It's called Spirit Tracks for the DS. We can imagine it's probably going to be enhanced for the DSi. And Spirit Tracks has Link driving a train. So I hope you like trains. Yeah, it has him driving a train.
Link on a train.
Link on a train with little cannon that shot little balls out into the environment. And then the other thing I thought was cool, you've seen some other people pick up on this, is it's picking up on the touchscreen capability where you're tracing tracks on the screen and you have an AI component that it moves through the world as you control it on the tracks. So it's kind of a double entendre there.
This is a pretty different direction for Link to be taken, right? I mean, what I know about Zelda, I can write on the inside of a matchbook with a crayon, but I don't remember trains in any of the previous 42 versions of Zelda.
Well, you know what? Actually, so a lot of what they showed was very iconic for Zelda stuff. You had the classic music. You had some dungeon exploration that looked like a lot of Zelda stuff. It's just adding another wrinkle to it. I think that it's accurate to say that it's very much like the boat was in Wind Waker. That now you have the train in Spirit Tracks.
So the entire game isn't the train?
No. I think it's going to be a locomotion device in the game, and then it'll also probably play into it with some fun pieces of mini games and stuff. But at the end, it'll be a Zelda game.
Super Punch Out.
Oh my gosh, flashback to 20 years ago, right? And it is a flashback to 20 years ago. If you played Super Punch-Out 20 years ago, you immediately notice the exact same timing. Did you play the game differently?
Once or twice.
Yeah,
no more than 4,200 times.
All right, so you remember the whole sidestep and sidestep?
Jab.
Rhythm is exactly the same. And I think it's going to be great for a new generation of people to have that fun experience because it's very simple. You get into it, it's a lot of fun. You can punch with the Wiimotes, which I was kind of neither here nor there with, but it wasn't hard.
What's going on with the DSi?
Well, it's finally going to be here on April 7th, and the big announcements, of course, centered around the cartridges. So right now, you've got an enormous base of DS users, right? There's going to be 2 cartridges after the DSi comes out April 7th, and that's going to give you 1 cartridge that'll work on the old units, but has enhanced features for the new DSi, and then 1 that only works on the new machine.
Dun, dun,
so, the
does that mean they're going to be round filing the DS? Game development will cease on the DS.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this unfolds. Nintendo has always been able to do these incremental upgrades, much like Apple. They've been really successful at doing that, and there's no denying.
When you say incremental upgrade, you mean taking a beloved gaming platform and then basically forcing their gigantic user base to move to a new and
That's very cynical sounding, Patrick.
Well, no, but I mean, you're just it's time for us to upgrade the hardware.
Yeah. So they've been able to migrate the Nintendo base along, especially in their handhelds, throughout the entire Game Boy generation.
Right.
These small incremental upgrades. This one again, one of the things they did was they took out the old Game Boy cartridge adapter, so you won't be able to play your old Game Boy original cartridges on there.
It's time.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
Modern Warfare 2.
Call of Duty, man. Call of Duty Modern Warfare was the big game from Infinity Ward, the guys who are the official Call of Duty developers. This is the final reveal of their game. It's coming out November the 10th this year. Notice it's 11/10/09.
Funny.
Isn't that cute? And the trailer doesn't really tell you very much. It was done as a sort of soundscape matrixy looking thing where, I don't know how to describe it. Like a sound ping was going off and you could see faces and stuff through that. Modern Warfare, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be beautiful, it's Infinity Ward. There's no doubt that it's the big AAA title of the fall.
Or the Christmas buying season.
Yeah, it's going to, even Halo ODST is going to have a hard time, I think, for the first time. I think for the first time, Halo is going to run up against something that is going to give it a serious run for its money.
That's good. I like having really good games coming out.
Yeah.
Fat Princess.
One of my favorite games. I love what PlayStation Network does. Earlier this year we had Flower. Fat Princess is a really cool game because it takes a game everyone, especially in gaming spaces, have played, which is Capture the Flag. And it does this really cool twist on it. And instead of capturing the flag, you're capturing a princess. Okay? And one of the strategies you could play with is to bring pie and cake back to the princess and fatten her up, hence making her harder for the other team to capture. So it's a cool wrinkle. It takes something that's really familiar, easy to play, You know, there's no in-depth rule set that you have to learn, but it gives you a new wrinkle and something fun.
There's
to do
something
about it.
really evil about that, and I don't even want to try to identify it. Anything else going on at the show? Are you excited? Are you bored at this point? Are you burnt out?
I don't know. I mean, we're banging the DRM drum again. You know, this seems to be something we can't get away from in this age. You know, one of the things, one of the big points for OnLive, as a matter of fact, was, hey, there's no chance of piracy because the game's being played someplace else, so you're not going to have to worry about it. I don't know how much I believe that. Steam also released an update, and the Steam update was that when you buy a game off of Steam, the executable that you buy would be custom keyed to your account. Sorry, not even to your PC. So you buy Dawn of War 2 on Steam, links to your account. You can now play it wherever you want to. You go to a friend's house.
You can play it wherever
you can play it wherever you want to.
That's
and there's
actually
no
pretty good.
magic DRM in it. What it is that it's keyed by the executable in a strip of code that's magically, uniquely encoded to you to download wherever you want.
I like that. That's a lot better than,
like it
say,
too.
dongles shipping with games.
Right, that's better than the Star Forces and all those things that do CD checks. So,
Garnet, informative as always. Thank you so much.
You got it.
You're going to come back, give us some more games in a month?
yeah,
or two?
man, whenever you're ready, I'm always glad.
I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want even more GDC 2009 action, don't forget to check out the Totally Rad Show and Co-op. And if you want to catch more of Garnet's work, you should definitely do so at oneup.com. We got links to where to find Garnet in the show notes.
Coming up next, LeVar Burton joins us via Skype to talk about how Twitter is powering his latest project and what opportunities social networking offers for up-and-coming celebs. But first,
It's time now for a Netflix-sponsored Movie of the Week. This week, Dear Zachary. This emotional documentary is framed as a letter to the son of the filmmaker's childhood friend, and the turns the story takes are heart-wrenching. The less you know about the sequences of events, the better, but suffice it to say that this is arguably the best documentary of the year. Make sure you have a tissue box handy when you stick this one in your Netflix queue today, or watch it instantly online. And don't forget to check out the other 90,000 titles up on Netflix, including a ton of Blu-ray titles with free shipping both ways to your home. Because they now have over 40 shipping centers, almost all deliveries happen in a single business day. The Netflix plans start from $4.99, but as a new member, you can get a no-risk 2-week free trial membership. Check it out at www.netflix.com/Tekzilla.
looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick, OwnerIQ. Many of us have numerous gadgets and gizmos around the house, and we're not just talking about cell phones and iPods here. From coffee makers to printers, dishwashers to curling irons. If you plug it in, chances are something will go wrong with it eventually. Good thing for OwnerIQ. This network of sites helps people solve their own consumer electronics problems by allowing you to search for user manuals and how-to guides on thousands of products. If you can't find the manual you're looking for, you can create a post asking for it. If you're one of the good Samaritans that has a bunch of user manuals lying around, you can actually upload those to the site yourself. Plus, under the Your Stuff area, that would be like Veronica's stuff, you can specify what electronics you have in every room of your house and keep track of all the manuals and discussions going on about those products. So the next time one of them breaks down, all that information and help will be right at your fingertips. So empower yourself with OwnerIQ today at www.owneriq.com. We all know the power of online social networks, whether it's friends and family or fans and well-wishers. You can share thoughts, music, images, or organize events, or just simple get-togethers. Joining me now is actor and Twitterholic LeVar Burton, who's here to share his thoughts on using these tools to help expand social networks and make new friends. Welcome to the show, LeVar. We're so happy to have you.
Me too, Veronica. I'm addicted to Twitter. You know that, though.
I know. You've been talking about it. So you've been using Twitter pretty voraciously since we last saw you back at CES. How have your feelings changed about the site since then?
I think I'm using it more enthusiastically than. I was really brand new to it that weekend. I had really just discovered it. And now, a few months later, it's become a part of my life. And an important way I feel like I have the opportunity to keep in touch with what's going on out there.
The test of a true Twitterholic. What do you check first in the morning, Twitter or email?
Twitter.
Twitter, all right. That's the correct answer. So we heard that you're in a new play that's coming out soon, The Caterer. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
This is really a return to my own theater roots. I haven't been on stage in about 25 years, so I am scared to death and exhilarated beyond belief. And I go through those feelings. I cycle through them about once every 3 minutes in my life these days. The piece is a brand new play. It's never been produced, never been staged before, and it's about a man who sells you your own appropriate death, the death that you would want were you or anyone capable of determining your own death, which no one is.
So it's like a death catered to your own personal needs and desires.
To your own personal needs and desires, not that which you would want, but based on your profile, that he sort of determines based on his interactions with you and how he gets to know you, the death that you would want were you capable of determining your perfect death. It's a black comedy, obviously, but it actually does deal with, I think, an aspect of life that we all have to deal with at one point or another. And the cast that we've assembled is terrific. The writer Brian Allen Lane is a genius. I know him from the days of Next Generation. He was actually one of our writers in the second season. So it's a homecoming in many ways for me, and I'm having a great time.
Fantastic. And you guys are using Twitter and social networks to actively promote the play. How did you come about doing that?
Well, it just sort of made sense. Again, you know, when I met you at CES, I was really at the beginning of this experiment that I started conducting in terms of using the social media, connecting with fans, seeing if there was any value in conducting an ongoing conversation, and just how far I could take that and where that would lead. And so when we decided to do the play, which was over a year ago, and we went into rehearsals, it made sense that as this is an integral part of my life right now, let me see if I can use it to inform the Twitter audience about what's going on and keep them involved. In fact, next week we're actually going to be recording some behind the scenes rehearsal footage and then putting it up on YouTube.
All right, so it's not just Twitter you guys are using, you're using other social networking sites as well. Anything else other than YouTube?
YouTube, social networking sites, obviously the email blasts as opposed to snail mail. There's really something, I think, to having a community, and that's really what I found on Twitter, is that I'm a part of a community, and then keeping that community apprised and abreast of what's going on in my life, and vice versa, hearing what's going on out there in theirs, and where the two intersect is where this is about for me.
And in your own personal life, are you active on Facebook and fan pages like that, or is it just mostly Twitter and email and the kind of stuff you use every day?
You know, I have a Facebook page, and I really I'm trying, as I move through this experiment, I think what I'm ending up doing is keeping my Facebook contacts more for immediate family and immediate friends, and that frees me up to use my Twitter relationship to really have a dialogue, as I say, an ongoing conversation, interaction with my fan base.
So in the professional sense, what would you say that using tools like Twitter and social networks allows you to do that you wouldn't have been able to do like a decade ago?
Without question, I think the number one value and benefit is I get to have interaction without the gatekeepers. There are no publicists in the middle. It's real-time communication with people who have similar interests to me, or people who, you know, are just celebrity stalkers.
I don't know anything about stalking celebrities on Twitter. Absolutely nothing. I've seen you talking to Will Wheaton and Brett Spiner on Twitter. Are you evangelizing social networks to any of your other former co-stars and friends?
One of the things that I'm really happy about, I mean, I think that Brent, I can claim some responsibility for having brought Brent on. One of the things that I'm enjoying most now is discovering other friends and forging relationships with other people who are on Twitter. I found my friend Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance the other day. I have conversations with, with other people. I found Melanie Mayron, an old friend of mine, a couple of weeks ago. It's actually very cool. I mean, I met Michael Ian Black through Twitter,
right,
and LeVar. We'd never met before. We had, and still have not met, but we have this connection. I found my friend Kevin Pollak, and it was on Twitter that Kevin invited me to come and be the first guest on the Kevin Pollak chat show. So it really it's fantastic to be able to keep in touch. And this is something that we all have in common, this desire to communicate in 140 characters or less.
That was something I was going to get to a little bit later, but we'll touch on that now. Has using Twitter opened you up to a lot of new job opportunities and things you might not normally have been aware of?
Well, you know, being on Kevin's show and I went and did The Soup a couple of weeks ago, and there are other opportunities like that. I never would have gone and done Dignation Live had I not been a part of this world, a part of this universe. So it really is. It's opening up a whole new wealth, I think, of opportunities for me to connect to people, and that's something that I'm intensely interested in, not just as a celebrity, but as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, as an actor, as a director, and as a writer as well.
So other than online social networks, what gadgets are you into lately? What have you not been able to take your hands off of?
Let's see. I have. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I've got a new gadget that I'm actually wild about. Give me 1 sec. This is a USB device for my iPhone.
Oh, that is going old school.
And it is an absolute, it's an old school receiver, and I can sit and be on the phone, on my cell phone, at my desk, and still feel like I'm a grown-up.
That's incredibly geeky.
It is, and you know what? The real truth of it is, Veronica, I'm a geek.
You're an old school geek. Look at you
I'm
with
an
your
old
rotary
school
style
geek.
phone
I'm
over
an
there.
Old school geek. That's what's great about this stuff, that we are using the current technology, in ways that not just enhance our lives, but are making us laugh at the same time. And, there's no better combination as far as I'm concerned.
So tell us where people can see the play.
The play is going to be here in Los Angeles coming up this spring. We open April 10th. And run Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays until May 10th. And you can go to www.thecatererplay.com for information and, of course, for tickets.
So we polled our Twitter audience for a few questions. Do you mind if we ask a few of them for you?
Ask away.
All right, our first one comes from Mexia Bill, who asks, do you see social media changing theater and movie making?
I don't see it changing. I think the forms of storytelling that we currently employ are pretty good. I think what it's going to change and where it is having an impact is in how we communicate about it. How we advertise, how we network around the ideas. But I think that the way we tell stories is that's a process that's pretty well grooved. I don't think that's going to change all that appreciably in the not too distant future.
And Fee501st wants to know, how can someone trying to get into acting use Twitter and other social media sites to kind of get their foot in the door?
I don't. It's not something that I've really thought a lot about, how one might use this in the service of building a brand from scratch. I know that there's a good answer to that question, but I don't have it at the top of my head, on the tip of my tongue, but I'm going to think about it. But that's what's so wonderful about this new technology is you can be creative. I guess if you can establish yourself, look, content is king. Mm-hmm. Right? And if you can create content that you brand, that you can become known for, then you have an opportunity to use the social media platforms to drive traffic toward your brand. And I think that's what this is all leading to at some point or another.
And then finally, Pure23 wants to know, how do you feel about the influx of Hollywood on Twitter these days?
Yeah, I almost, last week when it seemed like we have reached or are about to reach some sort of critical mass in terms of, the mainstream really taking hold here. Ellen tweeted a couple of weeks ago that she wanted to get a million followers, in like 36 hours, and I thought, well, is it time to bail? Has it now become so known, so mainstream that it's no longer cool? I'm going to hang out for a minute and see what happens. All the votes aren't in yet. Stay tuned. We'll see.
We'll see if it becomes MySpace-ified.
Oh my God, that would be...
I hope not.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That would be bad. LeVar, thank you so much for being here once again with us. And to find more LeVar, you can check out his website at LeVarBurton.com and also find him on Twitter at LeVarBurton. Can't wait to check out the play. Thank you.
Thanks, Veronica.
There's still more to come, including more of your viewer questions. But before we do that, let's take a moment to thank GoDaddy.com. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names for as little as $1.99. World-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and quite a bit more. Your website visitors, prospects, and customers are wary of websites and online businesses that aren't what they claim to be, and worried that their personal and financial information might fall into the wrong hands. Turn your visitors' concerns into a competitive advantage with the ironclad protection of a GoDaddy.com secure certificate. You want to score a discount? Of course you do. Entering code TECH4 when you check out, and you'll score 15% off on any order of $75 or more. Some restrictions do apply. Please see the site for details. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com, and do us a favor here at Tekzilla. Use the code TEK4, that's TEK4, when you do.
Looking for a magical blend of taste and refreshment? Then my custom tea, Veronica's Berry Zinger, is just the thing. Check it out at www.adagio.com/Tekzilla. Adagio also has teapots, teaware, and tons of other unique loose leaf teas. A tin of Veronica's Berry Zinger and an Ingenuity teapot would make a delightful gift for Grandpa. Get your tea on at www.adagio.com/Tekzilla. Here's a great question from Waleed. He writes, I have a wireless N network at home, but my PS3 and Wii game consoles are using wireless G, which brings down the speed of everything. Will adding a dedicated wireless G base for the game consoles help in getting my wireless N speed back up again? What say you? I think because everything, it slows it down when you go down that level. It brings everything down with it.
Well, it's kind of like Wi-Fi is a trade-off, right? It'll support older versions, right? Like 802.11g, you can run 802.11b, but when you operate in a mixed mode, mixing up G and B or N and G, everything, well, not everything, the N or the G operates at lower speeds to kind of accommodate the issues of the older Wi-Fi spec.
Okay, fair enough.
So you want a separate 802.11g router to keep your 802.11g gear from slowing down your 802.11n gear. And what's really funny is actually router vendors are now pushing 802.11n routers that actually have two different bands, so you can separate your 802.11, some of like the time-sensitive stuff. So gaming and streaming videos could be on the 5 gigahertz band of your 802.11n router. Then you could stuff everything else, like your file downloads and your BitTorrents and your PS3 on the 2.4 gigahertz band on that, basically because there's just not that much stuff running at 5 gigahertz compared to like everything from your microwave to your wireless toothbrush to Wi-Fi. There's like 4,200 Wi-Fi routers in my neighborhood if I do a survey. So the idea is that for N, it'll run on either 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, and they do a dual band router so you can actually separate your N traffic into sort of slower and faster traffic. It's very nerdly.
That's kind of like for that OnLive stuff. You're gonna need to boost it up to your highest speeds possible so you don't get that lag.
It'll be really interesting to watch that in the field, as they say.
I must say, I am intrigued.
Yes,
I'm very intrigued.
I think everybody's like, this would be so amazing, and then there's like a pregnant pause, and they go,
like,
if it works.
Except if this happens. So yeah, Waleed, I guess probably his best option is to get the two routers, buy real cheap TVG, or find one of those two that separates them. Yeah, just basically, if you have Craigslist where you live, just buy a used G router on Craigslist, or buy an inexpensive G router, because they're not going to be impacted that much. Smallnetbuilder.com, great website if you want to look for the fastest, cheapest kind of combination of 802.11g routers or 802.11n routers or NASs. I love that website. It's really cool. All right, well, our next video mail comes from Joey.
Joey.
Hey guys, I'm thinking about upgrading my MacBook Pro to a 500GB hard drive. It's not a unibody one, so if I do it myself, will it void my 3-year extended warranty, or should I have it done by Apple or someone else? Thanks.
All right, well, as long as you don't damage the laptop in the process, it won't void the warranty in the MacBook Pro. Apple obviously won't put a new warranty on the parts that you're putting in yourself, unless, of course, you bought them from Apple, I would assume. Yeah, it's interesting. Apple says specifically in the MacBook Pro 17-inch, the brand new unibody models, well, not brand new, but you know what I mean. Apple recommends that you have an Apple certified technician install replacement drives and memory. Consult the service and support information that came with your computer for information on how to contact Apple for service. If you attempt to install a replacement drive or memory and damage your equipment, such damage is not covered by the limited warranty on your computer. This was a different case in the earlier MacBook Pros, which you basically had to disassemble the entire laptop in order to put the new hard drive in there.
They basically, they made it, it's like page 38 of the manual, right? They made it super easy to upgrade memory and hard drives, partially also because it saves them time, because they're going to charge you a flat fee to upgrade the memory, and the less time it takes them to upgrade the memory means basically the more profit they make off of upgrading your memory. Really, in the user guide, there are explicit instructions on how to do a hard drive swap or a memory swap. Just make sure you use a screwdriver that fits. Go buy a $5 set of micro screwdrivers if you need to. And don't leave any drinks on the table, and if it forces, stop because you're doing it wrong. Flip the hard drive around the other way.
Fixing, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, so basically it's not going to void the warranty on your laptop, but they're just not going to cover the new crap that you're putting in there.
If you put it in there, their warranty doesn't cover it.
Exactly. And finally, we have an email from Dave out in the UK.
Dave writes, I've recently bought an iPhone and I'm impressed with it. I'm still using a very old 7.1 Creative setup that is very susceptible to interference from my new iPhone. I get a lot of buzzing. I've been looking for a new set of shielded speakers, but I'm not able to find anything that specifically says it is shielded from this. Can you help me out?
The good old GSM.
Every GSM phone in the market basically pings the tower every so often, and that horrible buzz is your iPhone pinging the GSM network, looking for coverage. Are you out there? Where am I? Have I been shut off and turned off? Where's the tower? Every GSM phone does it, but the iPhone seems to be the nastiest about it out of any phone I have ever used, and I've used a lot of GSM phones.
Yeah, I mean, I can be on a conference call, like in the office, and over the speakers we'll hear beep, 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 beep. I'll be like, does anyone on the other end have an iPhone on nearby? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't hear anything. I'm like, can you just put it in airplane mode for the next 5 minutes? It's always so bad.
I've had it picked up by car stereos, alarm clocks.
Car stereos are bad. I get it with car stereos too.
The worst I've ever had is I have these amazing headphone amps, and normally you like strap your iPod to the headphone amp. If you strap the iPhone to the headphone amp in not in airplane mode, you'll be be rocking out, and all of a sudden you'll hear that buzzing noise at 11 inside of your headphone, and your ears will start bleeding, and you'll weep softly.
Oh well, heaven forbid you get a text message or something while you've got it plugged into a non-iPhone compatible like speaker system, like one of the iHome kits.
Right.
I use those at home because it does charge your iPhone. You can play music over it, but I don't always put it into airplane mode before I start using it. So if anything comes through while I'm listening to music loud, it's suddenly like, ah! Like, oh, it's the worst.
So here's what you can do. You can put the iPhone in airplane mode.
That works.
You can try putting ferrite beads on your speaker cables, your iPhone cable, your cat. They will not work in the car stereo, but ferrite beads, you can pick them up at Radio Shack or electronic stores. They're basically designed to stop EM or electromagnetic interference. But you really can't shield against it unless you use a heavy shield material. Most shielded speakers use foil to block out extraneous EM. In theory, the speaker might block it, but the cable itself might actually pick up the EM. So buy speakers you like. Put ferrites on the cables.
Could you
for
wrap
the
the
speakers.
cables in tinfoil?
You could, but
That work?
by the time you've done that, and I think it would probably be
A little
simpler
desperate.
to just you could try it, or
Put it
just
in airplane mode.
yeah, or an EM. Get the little ferrite beads from your electronics shop and put them on the cables. That should help out
I should
considerably.
do that. I just never got around to doing it.
Do it, and you can tell us about
I'll
it next
let
week.
you know how it works.
And you can do like one speaker with the ferrite bead and another speaker with the aluminum foil.
Well, it's only one. It's the one square.
Oh.
It's the iHome.
I might have to wrap the entire thing in aluminum foil, but then it's still got you're doomed,
Yeah.
dude. Just, what, everybody sell your iPhones now. It's time to upgrade to Androids, because they do the same thing, but just not as meanly. For all of you watching, we live in your questions, so email us, text it. They will take Veronica's iPhone when they pry her cold, dead fingers from
right.
it. For all of you watching, we live in your questions, so email us, Tekzilla@revision3.com. Tech, help, product reviews, how-tos, you ask us, we'll do it. But we need those emails, so don't be shy. Send them into Tekzilla@revision3.com.
Or even better, send us in a video question. Think of all the fun you can have and the admiration of all your friends and family when they see your mug on our show. Just keep it to 15 seconds, upload that puppy to YouTube, and send us a link in an email with video question in the subject line. And as always, you can visit our forums at revision3.com/forum. Share your thoughts and opinions and ideas and how you feel about our new set, by the way. That would be one thing you could start a discussion on. And I'm in there, and Seraphina's in there.
I occasionally dip the toe
sometimes
in.
Roger's in there, sometimes Patrick's in there. But the girls, we hold down the fort.
The ladies rule in the forums.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Till next time, you've been watching Tekzilla.
Bye.
Coming up on Tekzilla, Roger Chang on backhanded compliments. How to engage in... Can't even do it.
And we love those video questions, and they're oh so easy to make. Just record yourself in front of...
Look over your shoulder.
Get out of my shot! You are unprofessional!
I knew that was coming.
It was too easy!
Wow, you kind of look like the Simpsons character.
What? I told you. I need better lighting. Sorry, this is canceled. Better? Better? Better?
But as a new member, you can get a no-risk, true free week for all that. And that's why we're first.
La da da dee da 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 da. La da da dee da 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 da. Looking for a magical blend of taste and refreshment then? My custom tea, Veronica's. How did I go from British to Spanish and like a tin of Veronica's Berry Zinger and an Ingenuity teapot would make an excellent gift for your parole officer.
Thank you. That just made me very happy.
Actually, Roger's never in there, but Serafina and I are.
Yay.
No, you're not, Roger. He's
He
trying to.
lurks even
He's a
more than I
lurker.
do.
He's a forum troll. Ignore him.